Hey everyone, me Kevin here. Over 30% of tenants did not make their full payment in July. Over 8.3% of homeowners are in forbearance. Yet real estate prices haven't fallen. In fact, the opposite is happening. Buyer confidence is up, interest rates are down, sales are down, but sales prices are up as less people are selling, creating less inventory, meaning buyers are paying more, and it feels like a bubble. So what is happening? What do we need to know? And will the housing market crash in 2020? In this video, I'm going to explain exactly what's happening now. Then I'm going to explain the 3 dangers and risks that could happen in the real estate market. And then I will give you my recommendations. Remember that I'm a real estate broker, a real estate agent. I used to be a licensed lender, licensed contractor. I have a lot of experience, not just investing in real estate myself, but helping people invest in real estate. So I'm not just reading from some silly article that was posted online. The information that you're going to find in this is unique and it is tailored towards you. If you own real estate, you're thinking about buying real estate, and you're looking for that opportunity to time into the market perfectly. I'm going to give you scenarios in this to help you do that. But all I ask is that you hit the like button, because these videos with this set and this thumbnail are education-based, and YouTube does not like suggesting these videos as much. People prefer more of the sensationalized topics, or at least YouTube does. So let's try to counterbalance the algorithm here. And remember that this video is, of course, sponsored by my courses. I've got a course on real estate investing, real estate rental property management, and do-it-yourself renovations, one for agents, and then one for money, finance, and stocks. Okay, the first thing that we have to understand in order to recognize what the heck is going on and why the heck does everything feel so bubbly is something known as the rule of 10x. The rule of 10x says that people will pay for a property based on what their monthly payment is. This makes sense because it's what tenants do when they go to rent a property. When tenants pay more to rent a property, the value of multifamily real estate goes up because rents are higher. When people can afford to pay more for a property because their payments are lower on their mortgage, the value of single-family real estate goes up. And these are tied together by a rubber band that says, well, if it makes more sense to buy, more tenants buy. If it makes more sense to rent, less people buy, and they become tenants. And so there's one big influencing factor that creates a market effect. And that is something that just happened at a big scale right now. And it makes us feel like we are in a bubble. And we are going to talk about the 3 big dangers that are coming up. But first, we have to understand this as a baseline. The rule of 10x says that if the normal market says a house is worth $500,000 at interest rates of 4%, but then somebody named, let's say, JPOW comes around and says, we're going to cut those to 3%. He doesn't directly do that. I'm oversimplifying, but that's roughly what happened. Interest rates went down about 1%. Then what happens to the value of the property? Well, let's say at $500,000, you have a monthly payment of X. In order to have the same monthly payment, the same exact payment at $500,000 and 4%, well, if interest rates are lower, then you're going to have a lower monthly payment. So you could actually afford to pay more money for this property. So to have the same payment, roughly, the rule of 10x comes in to tell us that, well, somebody getting a 1% lower interest rate can afford to pay 10% more for that property, or $550,000. And they will have roughly the same monthly payment. That's the rule of 10x. So you have a 1% decrease in interest rates, you get an almost instantaneous 10% increase in market value. The same is true in reverse. Rates go up 1%, you tend to see a 10% decline in property values. But hey, interest rates have gone up in the past and property values don't always go down, right? This is true because there's a second thing, and this explains why we're feeling bubbly right now. The second aspect is regular market appreciation. Let's say you have regular market appreciation of 5% happening, but then the Fed comes around and cuts interest rates and mortgage rates end up falling 1%. Well, all of a sudden, you get a 1% decline in interest rates plus the typical 5% market appreciation that you're used to seeing. All of a sudden, prices are going up by 15%. The 10% tends to happen instantaneously, because this moves as soon as interest rates move and people can pre-approve for something different. This happens over the course of 12 months. Now, a lot of this has been compressed. A lot of this 12 months has been compressed because there are not so many houses out there right now, and more people are buying faster, plus interest rates, leads to this feeling, as an example, of this almost instantaneous 15% bump in prices that we've seen during this pandemic. And instantaneous in real estate would be like, what, a month, 2 months, 3 months, right? Kind of what we've seen recently. So that's pretty dang quick. That is a very quick move in real estate pricing. And this is leading a lot of us who are looking to buy real estate to say, I can't buy in this market. Like, I'm getting overbid. People are coming in with cash offers. Nobody even cares about the comps. And this is true. I mean, if you're looking back at like March comps, that's old news. You got to look at like sales data from July and June right now. We're in July right now. You got to look at the recent stuff to actually see these kinds of moves. So this is what's happening. This is why we feel like there's bubbliness going on, this frothiness in the market, and that this is ready to blow. And there are three very real dangers that are unique to what's possibly going to happen over the next few years. Let's talk about those right now. The first danger that we're possibly going to see for the market crashing is known as the capital gains exclusion. Lawmakers like Donald Trump, people in the Senate, and other people like Larry Kudlow, the director of the NEC, National Economic Council, have indicated that it's quite possible we might see a capital gains exclusion that says you don't have to pay capital gains taxes if you do something that would incur capital gains taxes ordinarily over the next, let's say, 6 months to 18 months. Here's how that works in practice. Usually, when you go to sell something for a profit, you pay capital gains taxes. If you've owned it for longer than a year, those are long term. In real estate, you usually pay between 15 to 20% in federal long-term capital gains taxes. That means you make a $100,000 profit on, let's say, a $500,000 property you sell, you pay $15,000 to $20,000 in federal taxes. But there are also state taxes. So this would work if you live in a state like Florida or Texas where there is no state tax. But if you live in a state like California or another state that has a state tax, you might pay an additional somewhere between 5 to 14% in state taxes on those long-term capital gains. So in California, you might pay as much as 34% in capital gains taxes if you sell real estate with a capital gain. That is, of course, unless you take advantage of like a 1031 exchange or an exclusion or an exemption or a loophole of some form. But a lot of people do choose to pay the capital gains. They want to be done with tenants and toilets. And hey, this pandemic is great motivation to just be done with tenants and toilets. So what does a capital gains exclusion mean for real estate and possibly even stocks? Well, let's look at stocks real quickly. Stocks, people can buy and sell them quickly. If I want to get some tax-free money out of Tesla, I could sell my Tesla shares and then I'd probably just go buy something else. I could go buy an index fund, I could go buy some Nikola, or vice versa. If I own Nikola, I made a profit, I could sell those, realize some profits tax-free, and move it over into another stock. I don't necessarily think we're going to see like a crazy, all of a sudden crash in the stock market. However, real estate is a little bit different. See, here's the thing with real estate. With real estate, it takes a while to sell something. So you put something on the market, then it's going to take you like 3 months before you actually have the money, and then you got to go shopping. So it's quite possible that if we see a capital gains exclusion, we might instantaneously see a lot of sellers, but not instantly see a lot of buyers. So while you might see rebalancing in stocks, you might not see that in real estate. That is a big problem. Here's why that's a big problem. First of all, in states that don't have a state income tax, you're going to see people willing to undercut their property values to take advantage of this. If a property is selling for $500,000 in Florida, somebody might say, hey, you know what, agent, list this thing for $475,000. I don't care if it's 5% below market value. I want to get rid of it because I'm about to save myself 15 to 20% in taxes. Now, I'm always a believer in never sell, but this is going to be very tempting, especially in a state like California, where a high-income earner might pay as high as 34% on long-term capital gains. This kind of person might be willing to say, forget it, dump the property, list it for $450,000, 10% below. I'm still up 24% because I'm saving all this money in taxes. Again, I'm not a believer in selling, but this is a very real risk. When would this potential risk hit the market? Well, if they pass this bill by August 1st, or let's say they pass it by August 31st, it goes into effect, okay? We might see this issue happen between August 31st of 2020 and I would say probably the summer of next year. So let's just say August of 2021. So you might see a dramatic increase in sales from people dumping rental properties or even their homes to take advantage of this capital gains exemption. Now, homeowners get a certain exemption, right? Again, there are a lot of loopholes and ways never to pay taxes in real estate. It's one of the reasons I love real estate. But this is a very real possibility. Well, I would give it a percentage chance because it's all dependent on whether or not Congress is going to pass such a thing. I would say the odds of danger number one happening is somewhere around 25%. That is, if Republicans have it their way, there's a 25% chance danger number one happens and we see a flood of inventory hit the market that is going to create a great buying opportunity. So pay attention to danger number one. Danger number two, if Congress does not help tenants, either through more unemployment pay, stimulus checks, some sort of tenant rent forbearance or coverage for people who are behind in rent, there will be an eviction crisis as soon as the moratorium ends. And that is coming up soon in many localities throughout the country. Some as soon as August, some as soon as September, October. The eviction ban is great for now, but it's going to create a wave of evictions unless there's more support from Congress. And I don't think we're going to get enough support from Congress. Here's the timing and how an eviction or lack of eviction ban could affect us. Usually an eviction takes about 60 to 120 days, depending on what state we are in. California is going to take a little longer. Evicted properties might come on the market immediately as is sales, where people are literally trying to dump their tenant and toilet properties, or people might try to fix them up a little bit and then sell the properties, which this would delay when we would see these properties a bit. My guess is we'll see a mix of both of these. However, because we're going to see a wave of evictions at the same time, it's quite possible that this 60 to 120 days in normal time is not going to happen. Instead, we might see evictions take somewhere between 120 to 240 days. Basically, it might take 4 to 8 months before we actually see evictions hit the market. This means that from the day you're watching this, add 4 to 8 months to probably August of 2020, and that's approximately when you might potentially expect to see a lot of sales, especially from landlords who are getting ready to dump their properties because they're done with tenants and toilets. This kind of aligns with spring to fall of 2021. So spring, summer, and fall of 2021 is when danger number two is probably most realistic. We'll also still see some in like the winter of 2021 as there are lingering effects. We'll still see some of that in 2022. Danger number two, which is caused by Congress not doing enough stimulus to help tenants, in my opinion, has a very real 50% chance of happening. That means we have a 25% chance of danger number one happening in pretty much the same time frame. We have a 50% chance of danger number two happening in pretty much the same time frame. If both danger number one and danger number two happen, it's going to be a disaster. Like, you're literally going to have massive opportunities to go shopping for real estate. Now, does that mean I think you should sell real estate now? Well, no, because you'll probably pay your capital gains and you'll pay higher tax rates and you'll pay all these fees to sell. You know, before you know it, it's like you're already going to have given away 30 to 40% in like fees and taxes. Like, why bother? So instead, in my opinion, this is a sign that we might want to prepare, because if danger number one, danger number two happen, what's going to happen is you're going to want to have cash and a pre-approval letter, and you're going to want to be ready to strike. Personally, I think it's okay to hold some stocks and a stock portfolio, and then when this happens, move from stocks into real estate heavy, possibly. Let's now talk about danger number three. Danger number three, a wave of foreclosures. Thanks to mortgage forbearance and how long the foreclosure process takes, this is not as big of a danger as the other two. Foreclosures can usually take 1 to as long as 3 years to process. And honestly, in the pandemic, we're probably going to, or post-pandemic, we're probably going to be closer to 3 years to process foreclosures. Instead, I expect that home forbearance plans will continue to get extended, and we won't actually have to worry so heavily about a foreclosure crisis. This, to me, has about a 10% chance of occurring, and we probably wouldn't actually see the ramifications of a foreclosure crisis until somewhere between 2023 and 2024, which is actually when we'll probably experience another issue, and that is rising interest rates. So we'll have to revisit this in 2023 or 2024, but if we see interest rates go up in 2023, 2024, we know that is going to create downward pressure on pricing. Combine that with foreclosures that might come in 2023, 2024, that might be your next wave buying opportunity. Now, here's exactly what I would do right now. Well, first, I'd make sure I had life insurance, which you can get in as little as 5 minutes, and get 2 free stocks with Webull. Deposit $100, get 2 free stocks. Then check out the awesome programs linked down below for real estate investing, where you could really learn how to find below market value deals. The big thing to do right now, though, is prepare. Do whatever you can to increase your income so you can qualify for more. If you have debts, pay those off. Now is not the time to buy a new car. Now is not the time to buy a Tesla. Now is the time to pay off debts, increase your income, which in both of those will increase your qualifying ability. Lower debts, higher income, more qualifying ability. Do whatever you can to make both of those things happen. Then take as much money as you can and get it either, I hate saying savings, so I'm just not going to say it. Get it either into index funds or pick stocks or whatever, and leave those there and plan to leave those there for the next, few years as we start seeing these things come to fruition. If we start seeing a big pullback because of danger number 1 or danger number 2 next summer, you're going to want that money quickly available. You don't want debts. You want to be able to get pre-approved. So start getting pre-approved today so you know what you've got to work on over the next year so that you can take advantage of buying these kinds of deals. So folks, these are very real possibilities. This can happen, except it might not be a 2020 crash. It might be a 2021 crash. It all depends on what actually happens with Congress and what we see passed over the next few weeks. This is why I pay so much attention to stimulus, because it has so much to do with our money. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and sharing this video, otherwise YouTube won't show it to anybody. And folks, we will see you next time.